Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Is there a shortage of fish for the Easter season? Charles Gordon Market to be ready by second quarter. And later in sports, reggae girls to play England in international friendly in June. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry-Ann Simpson. Here are the details. Is there a shortage of fish for the Easter season? Some fishermen in St. James are raising alarm about dwindling fish stock. Details in this report.
The Easter season usually sees fisherfolk making sizable profit. But this year, that's not the case for these fishermen in St. James. They neither have the demand nor the supply.
Business is kind of bad, man.
Why you say bad?
Because in the Easter, less people come by because they don't have no money. No money now move, no money now make.
Them a time of the year, fish always scarce, but now I complain because when I find tonight, we find liquor tomorrow, and then the next day we find liquor same.
Owen Vassell, who has been fishing for years, says in recent times he has had to work even harder.
Normally we used to, when you jump off, we could go maybe 50 feet out in the water and you find a portion of fish. So you have to go 100 feet out and you have to dive 80 feet free-dive. 2 years back, we have a whole lot of fish here. Grouper, snapper, where the amount where we catch, we couldn't sell. Some might spoil. And then all of a sudden, nothing.
They also point to climate change as well as other factors.
Take the pollution and then think they call a kilo of fish, them the grease from the garage, and they run out and drain them and it's up there. Kilo of fish, them. So population kind of get slow down, you see.
The fish is not catching up, but don't have no money to buy. Money poor, money weak.
The government has launched a pilot program for climate resilience. The Agriculture and Fisheries Ministry has promised to bolster the country's fish stock over the next 5 years with the use of a technology. Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
In the meantime, some fishers in Portland were recently provided with micro grants in a bid to help with developing or starting new business ideas. In light of the dwindling fish stock, they've welcomed the grants.
At least the Alligator Head Foundation recognize fishermen in needs. I feel like more government institutions supposed to take it up and go around and recognize more small people who are trying to do something different.
Fitzroy Brown, a younger generation farmer, believes there isn't a reduction in fish in Jamaican waters. He says it's just not the right season.
Fishing seasons where the fishing goes on really well, and there are fishing seasons where it goes on really bad. It's like, no, it's going on bad. Yeah. For about 3 months now, it's a low fish rate. We're catching low fish. But down more in the year when it's the real fishing season, we will have a higher catch rate.
Chief Operations Officer of the Alligator Head Foundation, Marshall Donegan, says the grants serve a dual purpose.
What this represents is an opportunity for the fishers to become engaged in other activities outside of fishing that can help them to feed their families. We're not saying that they should stop fishing, but we're saying to alleviate some of the pressures. If there are other means of earning an income, then that means that there's less pressure on the fisheries. And it's also an initiative to help with climate change. With climate change, we're going to see more storm events, and so the number of days that they're able to fish are going to be reduced. And so with this, they can earn money even when they're not able to go to sea.
4 fishers received grants on Tuesday, totaling $600,000. The grants were funded by the International Climate Initiative and the federal government of Germany. They were given to the fisherfolk by the Coral Carib project, led by the Nature Conservancy in partnership with the Alligator Head Foundation. The Transport Ministry is rejecting claims by the opposition that the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, has abandoned 23 routes in the Kingston metropolitan area. In a release, the ministry stated that the JUTC will continue to operate on all licensed routes and is improving scheduling for better service. It further noted that to boost coverage, especially during off-peak hours, a limited number of route taxis have been authorized to operate alongside JUTC services. A heavy downpour on Tuesday afternoon caused major traffic delays on Main Street in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. Those using the area have called for the situation to be addressed, but Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnevis, has downplayed the severity of the issue. Shamala Pullen reports.
A sudden burst of heavy rain on Tuesday turned the streets of Ocho Rios into a river, causing major traffic problems and leaving drivers and pedestrians stranded for hours. Some vehicles broke down in the flood waters and people had to walk through the water. Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnevis, is urging people to remain calm despite their concerns.
They have a central sewage system, and there's also a central drain system that runs out to the sea. So whenever it rains, whenever there's a big downpour of rain, there tends to be a flood. Now, the sewage system, because there's a flood, a large influx of water at any one time, it gets overwhelmed, and then there tends to be some sort of flooding.
Some shop owners on Main Street said they were upset after flood water got into their stores and caused major damage. Taxi drivers and delivery workers also complained about long delays and losing money because of the traffic jam that went on into the night.
But within 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the rain subsiding, the water will subside and the rains, the water, there will be no water. So, for example, today at about 12 o'clock, the rains came. I mean, it really came hard, torrential. And then by 2 o'clock, it had stopped. By 3 o'clock, the water was off the road.
With the rainy season approaching, residents are now calling for a swift intervention to upgrade the town's drainage system to prevent future flooding.
It's something that I guess they could really look at the whole situation, the whole drainage system, and see how they can improve it. I think that would be a good move because this I believe can be avoided, but that is what it is now. Remember, Ocho Rios also has gone through a big metamorphosis in terms of the development. A lot of new buildings, a lot of new large influx of people. So there is that issue that they have to deal with, both this issue of the septic.
Shamala Pullen, TVJ News.
Mayor of Port Maria Fitzroy Wilson says efforts are being made to address the traffic congestion in Aracobessa, Highgate and Onatta Bay. At the recent meeting of the Municipal Corporation, Mayor Wilson said several plans are being explored.
Two of the recommendations is to have the transportation center be in full effect so that it can meet its intended use, and for it to be monitored and operationalized by the corporation.
He, however, says for this to be successful, the police and the Transport Authority must collaborate.
We would have had experiences in the past with the police. Its success is really dependent on the support of the police and the Transport Authority, because be it may, each time we would have allocated funds to repairs to the facility and no one uses it. The buses, taxis, and so on still utilize the road surface to pick up, let down, and to park and await for loading of passengers.
Vendors will resume their trade in the Charles Gordon Market by the end of the second quarter of this fiscal year. That's according to Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, who was addressing a press briefing on Monday. O'Shane Masters reports.
After being shuttered for almost 2 years, the popular Charles Gordon Market is set to be a bustling space in the township once again. Chairman of the St. James Municipal Corporation, Richard Vernon, provided the update on Monday. He told members of the media that focus is being placed on the main building of the market. Work will include upgrading bathrooms, stalls, roofing, rewiring, painting, and upgrading the flooring.
Where the market is now to where we want it to be with this new approach, 0. But within this period, it will be 100%. The proposed budget, conservative, $15 million for that section. Remember now we're speaking to a section of the market that we're not going to completely rebuild. We are going to renovate a section and bring it up to a standard that is conducive to the activity, right? So in counting the estimates, and I'm not counting those, I'm counting the physical work.
The corporation chairman says the work which was done in the last 2 years, which included the reinforcement of columns in the facility, are not counted in the ongoing works. In the meantime, Mr. Vernon was pressed about the announcement by local government minister Desmond McKenzie to provide $100 million to aid in the upgrading of the facility.
There may have been challenges in delivering the $100 million. I cannot say so because they did not communicate as such, but there may have been. And as a result, it remains an open conversation between the municipal corporation and the Ministry of Local Government. But they did not say within the first or second year we would get $100 million. They said that they would provide $100 million for it. And so far we have received $8 million, and we await the ministry to provide further update pertaining to the balance of the payment.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Mr. Vernon says that increased resources will be provided to protect tourism interests in the parish. He says the corporation has received videos and a letter from at least one hotelier regarding harassment from hoodlums. Mr. Vernon says with tourism being crucial to the country's economy, there must be a concerted effort to protect the sector.
So at Old Hospital Park, we will establish a police post in tandem with the Tourism Development Products Company to enhance security within the space and to provide that component of support to the Business Improvement District so that the establishment of such district can be sustainable from a safety standpoint.
Victims of crime could soon be able to get some redress. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the ministry is looking into establishing a body that victims of crime can appeal to.
Cabinet has approved it, and we are going to put together a green paper. How do we assist victims? It may well be that we do a victims charter. It may well be that we have victim legislation. So that victims of crime or victims of anything, victims who suffer, that they have a body that they can appeal to.
Minister Chuck says the ministry is also looking into establishing a victim compensation fund. In the meantime, Mr. Chuck is reminding justices of the peace that their role is critical in helping the police to curb crime.
So what I'm begging you, Justice of the Peace, in your own small way, I'm not saying you must go out there and campaign and do police work, But when you deal in your communities, especially where you know or you believe that persons have invaded your communities, to emphasize to the mothers and everyone, there's no reason for any of the young men to harbor criminals or for them to possess a gun because they're endangering the community.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
Knutsford Express is reporting a 4.8% increase in quarterly revenue, climbing to $593 million from $566 million in the similar period last year. Over the 9-month period ending February, revenue also saw growth, up 7.3% to $1.64 billion from $1.53 billion. Ongoing investments in expanding the company's fleet of coaches have pushed total assets up by more than 10.7% in the third quarter, rising from $1.93 billion to $2.11 billion. However, despite the revenue and asset growth, net profit for the quarter dropped by 54.9%, falling from $111 million to $49 million. Over the 9 months, net profit also declined down 36.8% to $170 million from $269 million in the comparative period. Further afield, the U.S. government is placing new restrictions on the export of NVIDIA's artificial intelligence chips to China. In a regulatory filing on Tuesday, NVIDIA said that the government is requiring a special license for its H20 chips to be exported to China. The H20 chip was specifically designed to accommodate U.S. export controls to China. The model has less computing power than the more powerful H100 artificial intelligence chip, which has already been banned for sale to China. As a result, NVIDIA says it will take a $5.5 billion financial hit. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Now here's Shamela Pullen with a preview of Wednesday's health report.
In this evening's health report, we look at toothache.
Losing a tooth can affect you in many different ways. I tell my patients your smile is your money maker and you need to preserve that smile. You need your teeth also to speak properly, to make sure your nutritional needs are being met. And losing teeth early, especially in children, it can be detrimental in terms of losing that guide for the adult teeth to come up.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. To relieve a toothache, rinse your mouth with warm salt water to reduce inflammation and clean the affected area. Apply a cold compress to the outside of your cheek near the painful tooth to numb the pain and reduce swelling. Take over-the-counter pain medications to manage discomfort and see your dentist as soon as possible.
Time now for the top stories from around the world.
In the region, outgoing president of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Adrian Saunders, is defending the independence of the regional court. Justice Saunders says the court is free of political or other interference. He says certain pronouncements regarding the CCJ have sought to damage its image in the minds of the public. Justice Saunders is set to demit office on July 3rd, after which Justice Winston Anderson is set to take up the role of president. On the international scene, Peru's former president Ollanta Humala and his wife Nadine Heredia have been found guilty of money laundering and sentenced to 15 years in prison. However, Mrs. Heredia has been granted safe passage to Brazil after seeking asylum in the Brazilian embassy. A court in the capital said they accepted illegal funds from the Venezuelan president at the time, Hugo Chavez, and from a Brazilian construction company to bankroll his election campaigns in 2006 and 2011. Humala's lawyer said he would appeal against the conviction. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Kelisha Williams.
Thanks, Kelisha. We now head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.